Awesome. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching in from. Thank you very much for joining and for watching. So today I have with me a very, very special and amazing person in the form of Mrs. Faith Aibangbee. So Ms. Faith Aibangbee is a senior management professional in one of the leading financial institutions in Canada. So she holds an MBA and 2 postgraduate diplomas. She is a certified human resource professional and a certified credit professional from the Credit Institute of Canada. Awesome. So Faith has won several industry awards, including the prestigious Achievers Excellence Award for financial institutions. She began her financial career in Canada approximately 25 years ago. Well, as a credit counselor, this role exposed her to the risk associated with poor credit management. So she spent the first 15 years of her career in various management roles within credit adjudication, credit recovery, private wealth, risk and human resources. This roles allowed her to gain experience in personal finance solutions like mortgages, credit cards, and loans. So she is attributed to hiring and training approximately 300 banking professionals into the industry. This is amazing. So she is a manager of people, leaders within extensive leadership, mentoring, and coaching skills. So Faith has spent the last 9 years in various management positions within commercial banking. She supports large corporate and Fortune 500 companies. She oversees approximately 100 banking professionals within 27,000 clients under her books. So Faith also serves as a minister in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Solid Rock Markham, a vibrant and multicultural church located in Markham, Ontario, Canada. Wow. With that said, I just want to say a very big welcome to you, Mrs. Faith, and thank you so much for your time, for choosing to be part of this interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure to be here with you today, Franklin.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So without much ado, we'll just get started and, jump in. The bio was really a lot, and I'm sure there's a lot of stories behind all of those achievements and everything. Don't you just start up and share with us about your background, let the listeners get to know more about you, especially your immigration story to Canada, highlighting especially your career.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here, to be able to share my journey so far within my career and even migrating to Canada. So I migrated to Canada in 1995, and it was tough. It was tough as a professional, leaving my home country to come down here. I had to deal with, the lack of experience, Canadian experience, which is a major roadblock for anyone who is new coming in as a professional. I had to go back to school at some point, but I think the culture also is one that has afforded me the privilege to share and not limit me in any way.
Right.
I started as a credit counselor, as I indicated, and continue to look for opportunities within and outside the financial industry. I had to go back to school. Go back to school, add more to my educational background.
Okay.
I, raised my hands for any opportunities, even though it may not be convenient for me. As a young mother at the time, raising my young mother, a wife, a minister, it was a lot. But I would, gladly volunteer to support the business over the weekends. And I think as we continue to do that and make ourselves available, we're also able to show the skill sets that we have and our heart to helping the organization to become more successful. I've never been one to be comfortable where I am because it's important for me to be intellectually stimulated. So as you read my bio, I was smiling in the background because I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh my God. I've been through so many areas, but that's been one thing for me. I want to keep learning. I want to keep challenging
Right.
myself
Right.
intellectually and making sure that I'm acquiring more skills that would
Mhm.
help me to, be a strong contributor in my area.
Right. Right. Right.
Approximately 9 years ago, I came into commercial banking. I think I found my niche there. I really love it. I
Nice.
love, I love what I'm doing now. So
Amazing.
that's been a nutshell. I'm
Yeah.
a manager of people leader. I'm a senior management professional. I've been in senior management now for almost 9 years. I love to coach, to mentor. I love to give back
Yes.
opportunities that
Yeah.
have been provided
Yeah.
through my journey in Canada.
Mhm. Wow, that's amazing. I can really attest to, a lot of things you said, like giving back. And
Yes.
I know you volunteering and, just offering rather to be a part of this is a very big indicator that, okay, indeed, she is known to give back and to help the set of people. So thank you very much. And really appreciate it. And I also like, the fact, you spoke about taking initiative and offering to support the business. I think that may have also contributed a lot to the way you've grown in your career, right?
It helps. It helps a great deal.
Yeah.
I think human nature, sometimes we just settle and
Mm.
we get comfortable in what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
As professionals, we should be looking at the opposite of that. How
Right.
do we, kind of create some changes in
Mm.
our life and
Mm.
set meaningful goals for ourselves?
Right.
And part of that comes with not being comfortable.
Right.
Either you're getting a designation or you're studying. But
Mm-hmm.
certainly, yes, you have to keep things moving and
Mm-hmm.
not stay in one spot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Continuous growth. I think it always helps a lot.
It does.
That's
It does.
amazing. So, like talking about your story and the journey, your career journey, what would you say are the three top obstacles that you faced in the course of you landing, say like, let's say your dream job? And I know you've done it, you've landed a lot of dream jobs, but maybe let's just start with the first one, especially, to help the people watching, because people watching here would be like, immigrants who are looking to land their ideal dream job in Canada. So what were some of let's just stick it to like top three obstacles you face in the course of you landing your dream job in Canada?
I think I touched on, the biggest one,
Right.
which was the Canadian
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Canada is one that opens its door to professionals to come in. But the moment you come in, the first thing you have to face is, well, it's great you have all this experience from outside of the country, but you don't have the Canadian experience. So I think I actually started from a job that I was overqualified,
Mm.
to do,
Mm.
in terms of my accreditations and all of that. But I needed to get my foot through the door.
Right.
So that was important for me. Getting my foot through the door and making sure that I'm proving myself
Mm.
through my work.
Yeah.
So when that call came in to be a credit counselor,
Mm.
obviously, yes, I took that opportunity. It was my way to get my foot through the door. I
Mm.
had to go and study what it means to be a credit counselor, understanding credit,
Right.
got the designation for credit,
Mm-hmm.
and just try to see how I can be a subject matter expert in
Mm.
my area. So
Right.
that was number one
Mm-hmm.
roadblock. The
Mm-hmm.
other one is the culture in itself.
Mm.
I remember my very first job. My first manager was a female,
Oh, okay.
and I would be interacting with her, and I would say, Mrs. And she's, I like that's how we interact in Nigeria, where I came from, right? You don't call your boss by name, you say Mr., right? So I would go into the meeting. Let's say, for example, her name was Mrs. John. I would say yes, and Mrs. John, and I'm having this conversation with my colleagues, and I think less than a month in the role, she said, no, Faith, don't call me Mrs.
Uh,
Don't say ma'am. to
Right.
me. It's okay, you can call me by name. You know, yeah, I understand because your culture, that's what you do, but it's not comfortable for me. So I learned pretty quickly that I don't need to call my leaders. And that's not to say I don't respect them, but the culture in Canada is one that, you know, everyone comes in with that equal field. We call each other by first name, and it can also make some people uncomfortable. So that was the second thing for me. The third roadblock was just the culture shock. The culture shock, you know, their food, you know, the way they talk, the pronunciation. I had people in that role who said to me, well, we don't understand what you're saying.
Wow.
So I also had to go and learn, you know, how the pronunciation, thank God for Google, right? How do I say this word? You know, and I aligned myself with individuals that would critique and be very honest with me. I remember, you know, a mentor, and he's still a mentor till today of mine. I would go to him and say, you know, what do you think I can do differently? You were part of that meeting. How do you think it went? And, you know, and then it was, I don't remember the word now, but there was a word that I was struggling with. I thought I was saying it correctly, but to the audience, it was coming out differently. And he pointed it out to me. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. This was back in the 90s. So just having people around you that you can go to mentor and trust that they're being honest with you also helps. Because sometimes we take it as, oh, they're criticizing me, but really it's for our own good. It's to help us integrate better. So I would say those would be the three. There were more, but those would be the top three for me.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Completely relate very well to the second point you made about, you know, calling your boss, you know, like you had like, you know, misses, right? I had exactly the same situation. And then my manager was like, hey, you don't need to call me Mr. Just go. So yeah, I think that's kind of like really very common. That's really very good. That's awesome. So the Canadian experience, you talked about the culture difference within the organization, and also issue, say, such as the accent, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, that said, how would you say you were able to address those three obstacles you mentioned, you know, to help you?
So as soon as I got my foot through the door, my goal was to learn about Canadian banking, not stay in one area. And sometimes I had to take lateral roles. Sometimes I said no to a promotion to go into an area that I really loved.
Wow.
10 years ago, when I went into commercial banking, I actually had a role that was higher than the one I took. But my goal was I needed to understand, I needed to learn. For me, it was really, let me acquire skills, let me understand. And when I look back now, it's been 25 years, I can really say that I've come full circle because I've gone from personal to small business to commercial banking. So just being open to learn, being open to explore, you know, unlock those doors that we're not used to, and be very curious. You know, what's on the other side. You may not even have anyone cheering you on as you make those decisions. Did I always make the right decisions? There were times I made a mistake going into an area, and then, you know, it turned out it wasn't for me, but at least I know now it's not for me. So I move on to something else. So that was one way, learn to gain that experience. My accent, yes, I spent a lot of time, believe it or not, but it's true, on Google. How do you say this word?
Oh, wow.
You know, and I still have things that I'm working on, right? Because, you know, our accent is our accent. But I had times where clients would say, I don't understand what you're saying. I'll slow down, apologize. Some of them were correct. Some of them said it, you know, to rattle me because, you know, this is a Black professional discussing their credit with them. So just making sure that we don't allow that emotion to rule what we're doing and remain true to our abilities and what we know that we can offer to the organization. And learning more about the culture. I made friends with Canadians, learn about their food, so that I can relate their sports, so that I can talk about it when we go out for social activities.
Yes,
It was
yes.
like going back to learn
Yeah.
and learn and learn and learn. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's really very good. I really like the way you overemphasize learning, because I think like it's a way to solve most of the problems that, or let me say, most of the obstacles that we face. It's all about learning the right things, right? I think that's kind of like what I'm hearing so far. Yes.
Yes, a lot of learning, training, whether within asking the colleague, how do you do that? Can you show me? Or how did you acquire that? Can I go in? It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's gratifying at the end.
Yeah, it always pays off, right?
Because it opens doors, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really very good. Very good to hear. And then I know you mentioned a lack of Canadian experience, and actually, this is one of the major obstacle that a lot of immigrants they face, right? So in addition to what you had shared, would you say you have some other ideas as to how individuals can navigate this issue of lack of Canadian experience?
Don't give up on yourself.
Mm.
An opportunity would come.
Mm-hmm.
In the course of that 25 years, I've met medical doctors who gave up, and they're no longer in that field today. Professionals who came from outside the country because it was just too hard, or they felt it was too difficult, they gave up. Some of them are engineers who are working in the factory. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying working in the factory is a bad thing. As long as you're the one running the factory, that's a good thing, right? Making sure that you are using all your capabilities and building more capabilities for yourself. So don't give up. I think it's one of the things that I've come to understand, and even in interacting with new immigrants is, there's a tendency to get into this place of, oh my God, it's not going to happen. It will happen. Continue to make use of the resources, get in touch with the, government resources out there that helps new immigrants, to settle into Canada, volunteer. Sometimes it may not even be a paid job, to start with, but you get your foot through the door. You understand the culture, you understand how they interact, you understand how they communicate with one another. Every single time you're doing that, you're building new skills for yourself. You're building new skills for yourself that would prepare you for that opportunity when it shows up.
Oh wow, that's you made a lot of salient points there, and I think it's really very very good to reiterate the importance of not giving up.
Yes.
Not giving up, right? And also volunteering, because the volunteering opportunities, although they may not be exactly what you want, but they actually are exposing you to the Canadian culture, right? And you're also going to be learning some valuable skills that can be put in your resume. So I think those are very, very salient points as well. So thank you for sharing. So right now, I know you have a very, very amazing position that you're occupying right now, and you've gone a very, very long way. So
thank God.
Yes. So if you were to like start all over again, looking back, right? If you were to start all over again, what are some things you think you would do differently, right? In order for you to say land your ideal position, maybe like faster, or land something, start landing something like better, if there was something better at that time.
Believe in myself. Yeah, believe in myself. I think coming in as a professional, I was an expatriate prior to migrating to Canada. So I had, a lot of training, as a professional. But coming in and you're speaking and someone is saying, well, I don't understand what you're saying. I think we can get it to a point where we feel, well, maybe it's true. Maybe
Mm,
this, I'm not cut out for this,
mm,
right? And that held me back. Being in meetings, I have ideas, and I'm thinking, well, that client said to me they don't understand, so
mm,
I don't want to make a fool of myself in the room. So I'm not going to speak, even though I have a great idea. I'm just going to be very quiet, right, and continue to do my work.
mhm.
And it took me a few years to get out of that, to
Wow,
understand that I deserve to be at that table.
of course.
The fact that I'm there,
Yeah,
I deserve to. There's a reason why I am there.
right.
Something that I have has brought me to that table.
Mm,
So if I have an idea, I need to share it like everybody else. So if there's anything I would do differently, it's really being more confident in my own abilities prior.
mm.
Getting a mentor earlier on also helps.
Oh, nice.
As I stayed behind the scene, writing great presentations, giving it over to somebody to go present,
Mm,
because I don't want to be in the center. My mentors would say, no, you're the one behind that.
yeah.
So you go present it. That's fine. If they don't understand what you're saying, they'll tell you to repeat yourself.
Mhm.
They'll tell you to repeat yourself. So you repeat yourself. So as I continue to do that, I started to gain back my confidence as a professional, and obviously my ability with God.
Yeah.
As you've indicated, I'm a minister of the gospel. So
Mhm.
that played a key role too in
Mhm.
my decisions. And
Right.
I think in my journey so far, that really helped me to get to where I am today.
Mhm.
I can't overemphasize that,
Right.
making sure that we're staying close to our faith, because
Right.
when you're feeling down, you're able to draw strength
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
from your faith and strength from God.
Right. 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 Wow. No, that's really very cool. Interesting. The first point you made about believing in like ourselves. I think it's really very valuable, and also the way we see ourselves, right, and carrying
Yeah.
ourselves with dignity, with confidence, because
Yes.
it's the way we portray ourselves also determines how people look at us, right?
Yes.
And so I
That's
think
very
that's a
critical.
very salient point, very, very salient point. And definitely faith, I mean, like it's, it is very,
You
very,
have to have
very,
faith in yourself and faith in God.
exactly. I think the issue of faith is of paramount importance for sure. Absolutely. I think you were going to say something.
I said, be your best cheerleader.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Be your best cheerleader. There are
mm,
many times I've gone into an interview for another role, and I have to, obviously, yes, my faith, I have to pray, that's critical.
yeah,
That encompasses who I am. But
mhm,
I also need to pump up myself to
exactly.
say, you don't need to talk to anybody else after this. This
Yes.
is who you need,
Yeah.
right? So be able to market yourself.
Yeah.
In the culture where we're coming from, we're told, oh no, you have to be modest. In this culture,
Yeah.
you have to market yourself
Mm-hmm,
and
hmm.
be able to sell yourself and not sell
Right.
yourself short.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a very powerful point. I think it was something I also struggled with, coming into a different culture where, like you rightly pointed out, like, back from the country I come from. If you talk about like your accomplishment and all of those things, it almost seems like, hey, you're bragging and people are like, yo, what's up with,
Right?
but here it's actually, not, I don't like, it's actually not looked down upon, right?
To
Because
embrace.
you have to talk about what you've done, because that way people will actually, like, say like, oh, this person, I really like to hire this person, I really like to have this person on my team, because they are very confident in what they're able to do,
Yes.
right? So I think that's a very salient point for sure. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so talking about, I know you mentioned the importance of a mentor, and that one for sure, I cannot overemphasize how valuable that is. So in terms of say community, would you say that there were some communities that you joined that really helped you, especially in terms of getting you prepared for that ideal position?
Yes. the Black network is a huge, huge movement. I believe that many organizations have got those associations, right?
Okay.
In many companies, you've got the Black network, you've got the new migrant network. I think it's really important to raise our hands, make room to get to meet people outside of, our sphere of control, our immediate area.
Right.
Many years ago, I joined the Black Network Association in my organization, and I remember I was a middle management professional at the time, and I remember being in this presentation, and there was a Black, vice president, a senior leader. And right after that presentation, I'm like, I can be a senior leader too. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
He's able to get there, right? So I sent him a note and said, hey, can we talk? I need to understand, how did you get to this point? And it wasn't until I began to mingle with people of my race, people with the same background, we migrated to Canada, that I realized that, there are various opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that those individuals have been able to get there really motivated me.
Right.
To do more and
Right.
to continue to engage and connect. So yeah, there are communities, government resources is very important too. Even going into a library. I remember when I newly came into the country, I just went into the library, local library, talked about, I'm new in the country, are there, meetings and presentations that I could be part of? This is what I bring to the table. Can I participate?
Oh, nice.
I want to learn, right? Even resume, where in my culture, where I come from, we call it CV.
Right.
Here it's called resume. Same thing, but it needs to be structured properly, because from an HR perspective, when you submit your resume, there are key things that they're looking for in order for you to even be considered in the pool.
Yeah.
I had to learn all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So taking advantage of those resources that the government of Canada have prepared for us, or any government where we belong,
Yeah.
country that we belong, is a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be shy. Ask questions, your leaders, ask them, is there any organization that is for people like myself that I can be part of? And if you don't have one, start one.
Wow. Awesome. Wow. Okay. That's I think that was a very powerful ending for the question. If there's none, then start one for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, I know, especially communities are really very essential, because it provides lots of benefits. A very good example you mentioned about seeing that the Black leader, so seeing him alone, you got motivated. You're like, if he can do this, I can do it as well. So I think that's one benefit from being a part of a community, and obviously there's so many others as well, for sure. So yeah, like that's so yeah, people should take advantage of communities in their organization, both inside and outside. So I think that's going to be very helpful. Okay, that said, I think we already touched a little bit on the cultural differences, but do you have any other one you want to share that you notice and you're like, oh my goodness, this is surreal?
Oh yes, it was the food for me. And
Okay.
no slight against Canadians,
Okay.
I'm used to it now, so that's good. But coming in and we have all this paid dinner, we have a social event, and then the food comes out. I'm like, oh man, this is different. This is very different. I'm used to, my meal being different, but I
Right.
had to learn. Because I understand I will be in those gatherings,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to be able to integrate myself in
Right.
that manner.
Right.
And, as I made friends, they will come visit me,
Mm-hmm.
right? As much as I really love my food, I want to be able to entertain them and be a
Exactly.
great hostess, right?
Exactly.
So I had to learn. And I would ask them, okay, so what is this? Oh my God, it's a little different, but I can get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you send me the recipe? I
Mm-hmm.
can try it.
Yeah.
Um, and my children also were born here. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to represent for them,
Right. Right.
represent for the entire family. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that was the biggest one for me, the
Mm-hmm.
cultural differences and,
Mm-hmm.
how to integrate that into who I
Mm-hmm.
am and who I had been
Yeah.
before coming in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, the food part of it,
Mm-hmm.
the way they communicate.
Okay. How so?
So I come from a country in West Africa. When you write, I beg to advise
Okay.
that
Okay.
this and
Okay.
that. It's very officious.
Mm-hmm.
Canadians are very, very casual
Mm.
writers.
Mm-hmm.
They write the way they speak.
Right.
So it's very different. So I had to stop and unlearn
Yeah.
that and learn how they converse,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not so official in
Right.
the way they talk. They're very, very casual. you know Everything is easy when you're communicating, because the goal really is to make the other person relax. So I
Exactly.
had to learn that
Mm-hmm.
in my communication. So those are
Yeah.
the two things that was a cultural shock for me,
Okay.
um, and I had to overcome them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's really very good. And everything goes back again to learn, learn, learn,
Yes.
learning and then unlearning, just so we can properly integrate. Because they said if you're in Rome, act like the Romans.
That's right.
If you're in Canada,
Otherwise, you would isolate yourself. That's right. And you
exactly.
don't want to isolate yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. So this is it's been a very impactful and informative session. Thank you so
I'm
much.
glad to hear that.
Before ending, I don't know if there's any final insight or comments or recommendation you would like to give to somebody out there who is looking to land their ideal position, especially in the finance space.
Well, I really want to commend you, Franklin, for putting something like this
Thank
together.
you. Thank you.
I think as new immigrants, sometimes we just get into the survival mode.
Mm,
Let me get through it and let me walk through it and let me just survive and land something for myself. I think this is a great platform, a
mm.
great initiative, and I commend you for that,
Thank you.
because you're also a professional and very accomplished in your career. But you're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about those who have come in newly and creating an opportunity for them to hear from others so that they can
Mhm.
learn from it. I
Right.
commend you for that.
Thank you
I
very
think,
much.
as we continue to do things like this, to open doors for others, it
Mhm.
becomes a soft landing as they come in and
Yes.
makes it a
Yes.
lot easier.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you for putting this together, and thank you for providing me an opportunity to share my story and share my experience
Sure.
through this platform.
For sure. Wow. Awesome. So I'm really very grateful. I know, you're always very, very busy, but thank you for making our time to
You're very
yeah,
welcome.
yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people picked up salient points that they're going to be implementing, and I'm sure that they will see significant changes in their journey to landing their ideal dream job in Canada. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and thank you again for having me. Have
Yeah.
a wonderful one.
Okay.
Bye.
Next one. Okay, yeah, bye. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a nice one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hello, this is Franklin here. I hope you found that interview session very insightful, just like I did. So to get a collection of more ideas, recommendation, and even a guide on how you can land your dream or ideal job as an immigrant to Canada, be sure to check out my new ebook. It's titled Crack the Dream Job Code. So for more information about the book and to get a link, see the description of the video below. Thank you.